Okay, so today we are talking about the Ouroboros of beer. We're going to see how this ancient symbol, the snake eating its own tail, might just hold the secret to a totally revolutionary way of brewing. Let's dive right in. This quote, this is really the heart of the whole thing. The idea that in a perfect system, nothing is ever wasted. It's just transformed into something new. It's an old idea, an alchemical concept, really, but believe me, it is about to completely change how you look at your next beer. So you're probably asking, what on earth does a mystical, self-devouring snake have to do with the beer I'm holding? And the answer? Well, it turns out pretty much everything. It's like a blueprint for sustainability, a map of transformation. Really, it's a story of life, death, and rebirth, all in a glass. All right, first up, the serpent in your pint. Let's start with the big picture here. So, for the last 100 years or so, we've been stuck in this linear model of production. It's a one-way street. You extract resources, you process them, you consume the product, and then you just discard what's left. It's efficient in a way, but man, is it wasteful. The Ouroboros model, though, is totally different. It's a closed loop, a perfect circle where every end is just a new beginning. And what we call waste is really just an ingredient for the next cycle. Okay, so how does this actually work in the real world? Let's get into what is maybe the most visceral example of this whole concept, from waste to wheat. I want you to consider this for a second. What if the key to growing the next batch of barley was hiding in the festival bathroom? Yeah, you heard me right. This is where the theory gets very, very real. And look, this isn't just some crazy idea. At Denmark's huge Roskilde Music Festival, they ran a project called beer cycling, and they collected, get this, 50,000 gallons of urine from all the festival goers. Now, scientifically, it's actually a no-brainer. Human urine is just packed with nitrogen and phosphorus, the exact nutrients that barley absolutely loves. You just pasteurize it, a really simple process, and boom, you've got a potent, sustainable fertilizer that's a fantastic alternative to the synthetic stuff. So they took the barley grown with this unique fertilizer and they brewed a special pilsner. And they gave it the cheeky nickname Pilsner. And the verdict from people who actually tasted it, they said it was fresh, it was full-bodied, and it was totally delicious. The loop was officially closed. But believe it or not, the cycle gets even more personal. See, when you drink a beer, your body metabolizes it and you exhale carbon dioxide. That very same CO2 is then taken in by barley plants during photosynthesis. So just think about that for a second. Your breath is literally helping to build the starches for the next brew. It's wild. Now, this cycle of transformation, it's not just biological. The act of brewing itself, it actually mirrors this ancient mystical tradition, alchemy. You know how alchemists were always trying to turn lead into gold through these 7 stages? Well, brewing basically follows the same exact path. Malting, for example, is like calcination. You use fire to break down the grain's old identity. Then mashing is dissolution. You use water to release its hidden potential. And then there's fermentation. Well, that's where the real magic happens. In alchemy, they called this stage putrefactio. It's basically a controlled decay, a process of death, of rotting, that is absolutely necessary for a new, higher spirit to be born from whatever is left behind. And that is exactly what's happening inside that fermentation tank. Yeast consumes the sugar, effectively killing it. And from that death, it excretes 2 totally new things, alcohol and carbon dioxide. It's so simple when you think about it. The death of sugar is the birth of beer. It's a perfect, literal transmutation. So this whole framework, it isn't just some dusty old philosophy. It's a super practical guide for modern industry. Let's take a look at how breweries are actually closing the loop right now. Breweries are starting to operate like these self-sustaining ecosystems. Take CO2, right? It's a natural byproduct of fermentation. So instead of just venting it out into the atmosphere, breweries like Spendrups in Sweden are capturing it. We're talking over 3 million kilograms a year. And then they use that same CO2 to carbonate their own finished beer. And what about the solid stuff that's left over? About 85% of it, which is mostly spent grain husks, gets repurposed. It's turned into everything from nutritious animal feed to high-fiber flour for baking bread. So the body of the old beer ends up nourishing a completely new food source. Even the energy gets recycled. At Adnam's Brewery, they figured out how to recapture 90% of the steam energy that's created during the boil. And that captured heat,
It's used to start heating up the water for the very next batch. It's like the ghost of one brew is powering the birth of the next one. This cycle even plays out in our tastes over time. Think about it. The GI generation loved those uniform industrial lagers. Then the boomers and Gen X, they rebelled with imports and super bitter IPAs. Now, millennials and Gen Z are kind of coming full circle, back to lagers again. But the cycle is spiraling upwards, right? Because today the focus is on these amazing, regenerative, sustainably sourced lagers.
So, okay, we've gone through biology, alchemy, modern industry. What's the big takeaway here? Why does any of this really matter?
Well, this Ouroboros framework is just an incredibly powerful tool. Ecologically, it shows us how to close our carbon and nutrient loops. Technically, it gives us a blueprint for a waste-free industry. Spiritually, it's a beautiful reminder that decay is actually the engine of all creation. And socially, it helps reinforce those bonds of community that we all crave. So, the next time you're holding a beer, just remember, it's not just some static object you bought at the store. It's a moment, a snapshot in an endless moving stream. It contains the energy of the sun, nutrients from the soil, and yeah, even the breath of drinkers who came before you.
The ancient Anglo-Saxons had this toast, wise heil, which meant be well, or more accurately, be whole. And in this Ouroboros framework, that's really the ultimate goal, to see the whole system, to participate in the cycle, and to be whole. Drink heil.